Just as a little reminder, the term is magical girl, not magical midlife crisis. Also, no, this episode wasn't written by Jin Tanaka, even though this does kind of fit his MO. We open this week with Latte being groomed by her slave, close friend and confidant. Yeah, come on, she totally exercised her royal privilege a few episodes back. Why wouldn't she start abusing her position a little now? However, Nyatran was running late to serve his queen, as not only had he woken up late, but also had been somewhat smitten by this lady and her candle. I'd imagine he's also thinking of taking her to his kingdom of cats. Yeah, worth mentioning, the title of this episode might be a play on The Cat's Repayment, or as it's known here, The Cat's Return, the Studio Ghibli film. That film actually has a very strong tie with Toei Animation, as Hayao Miyazaki had done work for them in the past. Specifically for their adaptation of the classic fairy tale of Puss in Boots. He and several other future legendary animators provided key animation for it that he would later reuse to model sequences for The Cat Returns and The Castle of Cagliostro. And yes, as you can probably tell, Puss, or rather, Peril, became the mascot of Toei Animation to this day. Thus, if this episode is meant to be like a love letter to Hayao Miyazaki, I do hope he appreciates it, and doesn't just give his usual grumpy grandpa response. Anyway, this less graceful version of the Baron was found by the candle lady named Orie Kusaka and brought back home to his owner. All the while, still clearly being in heat, resulting in our heroines making these faces. Y'all know the deal at this point. But yeah, everyone was rightfully concerned when Yatran described his feelings towards Orie as being more intense than his feelings towards Hinata. The healing animals interpreted this as him possibly wanting to switch out partners, resulting in the aforementioned magical cougar, because get it, it's a cat. And yet, this didn't bother Hinata in the slightest, and she even became an unintentional shipper, and took her partner to see Orie. Everyone followed off concern, with the exception of Nodaka, who I guess read the script ahead of time. Orie turns out to be the owner of an aroma shop. Funny, the last time I checked, you were doing patchwork for the Phantom trope. But yeah, she gave a little lecture about how aroma oils worked, including her candles, which once again seemed to trigger something within her. Though no time to worry about that little bit of foreshadowing, as they noticed a large number of boxes in the back of the shop that she had yet to unpack as she had only just moved in. Nyatran literally jumped at the idea of helping her, forcing Hinata to cover for him. Honestly that's perfectly in character for her. As a result, they helped her unpack, with even the cat plushie trying to pull his weight. They also ended up helping hand out flyers for the shop's grand opening, which just makes me wonder, what the hell was this lady gonna do if 3 random magical girls hadn't shown up? Your business model doesn't impress me. Still, while the Precure managed to provide a ton of free labor, Nyatran was disappointed he couldn't do anything because I guess the season might not include human transformations, thankfully. But he still wanted to try and do something for Orie himself, and hey, may as well try and sell this thing at the same time, right? He even made a special bracelet just for her, once again concerning his friends, and okay, come on! Guys, please just stop giving the Rule 34's material! Thankfully, Rablin cringed for all of our sakes. Meanwhile, in the Byoken Kingdom, Shindoine was trying on all of her new perfumes at once. This is what happens when you take beauty tests from Gwyneth Paltrow. And I'm guessing she was using the whole bottles because even the lava wasn't burning up the smell. Thus, Bachitamota, very understandably, decided to head out and launched an attack on Orie's shop. I'm guessing all aromas must smell like gas to him now. And for once in a long while, we got a Mega Byogen that kinda made sense. A lamp monster created from a fire elemental. Also, I just realized the monster of the week was brought out even before the first commercial break. Oh, this should be fun. Okay, so we didn't get a long and exciting fight, but there were still some good sequences. And more importantly, after several episodes, and a long time since it came before the hiatus, Bachi Tamota joined in the fight and showed off his great sadistic side. However, the real highlight of this week really didn't need that much quality animation, as Hinata took a bullet to protect Nyatran's gift for Orie. This led into a great exchange between the two, as Hinata recollected their first meeting, and then stated her mantra as a precure. Again, while we haven't really gotten any confirmation whether or not Hinata has ADHD or not, what we have been able to tell is that she and Nyatran have always been kind of total opposites, and yet maintain similar ideals. Both of them have strong desires to help others, but tend to take opposite approaches, with Nyatran focusing on doing one thing good, but not accomplishing much as a result, while Hinata tries to do everything she can, which kinda spreads herself a little too thin. Both approaches have their pros and cons, and yet these two still admired each other because of the effort they put in for each other. Even if Nyatran had stronger feelings for Orie, that didn't mean the bond between his partner and friend wasn't just as, if not stronger. Good stuff. And with that, Hinata tried to get up and really... This episode was made for the doujinshi artist, wasn't it? I mean, Nyatran tried to clarify that it was candle wax. Yeah, sure, that's wax, and these are just dark energy discs. Still, that gave Chiu the idea to try out her new elemental ball to use Rain Dance, which worked as a great debuff against Candelure. And with that, they defeated the monster, and hey, since this elemental represents one of the 4 nations, may as well get a new bottle. Afterwards, Orie came back to check on her shop and the girls, and at the same time, her husband had arrived home, much to a certain feline's dismay. Well, at least we don't have to add NTR to the fetish list. Also, fun fact, this guy's voiced by Jiharu Sawashiro, the little brother of Miyuki, the voice actress of Towa, aka Cure Scarlet. And speaking of Gold Princess, we got the second Ashita no Joe parody for this franchise. Oh, sometimes I truly love this show. And with that, the episode ended with Nyatran and Hinata having one of the biggest bros before hoes moments, ignoring that the latter was a girl, but also with a cliffhanger as Latte suddenly fell ill again. You know, I'm kind of starting to run out of ways of complimenting how great the partner dynamics in this show are, because yet again, this was another great outing for the show's most fun dynamic duo. I mean, we got some great laughs, both intentional and hopefully unintentional, as well as just a lot of heartwarming moments that really highlights what real friends are. As I said at the beginning of this review, in spite of having a lot of Jin Tanaka's writing quirks, including his humor, this episode wasn't written by him, but rather a brand new writer to the franchise, Sawako Hirabayashi. She actually has worked on Precure before, but in the animation department, not the writer's room. And as a first outing as a writer, this certainly wasn't bad. I mean, it was somewhat padded in areas like the montage of setting up Orie's shop. Yeah, it did serve a bit of a narrative purpose, but it could have also been trimmed down is all I'm saying. That said, the moments between Hinata and Nyatran were handled quite nicely, as they served to really sell them as good friends who understand each other and their efforts. Real friends can appreciate each other even if they are total opposites, which these two certainly are. It actually kind of reminds me of Hirabayashi's work on Watamote's second episode, where there was also some very touching friendship moments, and also ended with some comedic heartbreak. Yeah, thankfully Nyatran's brief interspecies crush was played up for comedy, leading to some really good laughs for me throughout the episode. Only major flaws I had with this episode were some of the pacing as I mentioned, and that out of nowhere cliffhanger. Yeah, at this point there's no real need to hide it. They're trying to build towards the 6th Ranger of the season, and this feels more than a little forced since Latte played no real significant role this week other than her usual shtick. All just for the sake of pushing a few more toys. I mean, it doesn't outright taint an otherwise really fun episode, but it also robs it of a satisfying conclusion, kind of like my reviews. If you haven't seen it yet, I recently just posted my first actual review of Ojamajo Doremi. And I'll be honest, it went over better than I originally thought it would, so yeah, I'm planning on doing 1 episode reviews every Wednesday as long as my schedule allows. Also yes, the Mahotsukai manga review is coming very soon, with part 1 coming likely this Friday. Look forward to it, and hope that I can stick to an actual schedule. And until then though, farewell for now my friends, and you know what? Me and my feline friend are just gonna pay a little visit to the Jojishi artist, just to keep them a little in line.